Have you ever noticed how a single song can completely shift your mood? How one negative comment can derail your entire day, or how spending time with certain people either lifts you up or drags you down? The truth is, we are constantly being shaped by the influences around us, often without even realizing it. What if I told you that God has given us clear guidance on how to guard our hearts and minds from harmful influences while embracing those that draw us closer to Him? Finally, brethren, whatever things are true, whatever things are noble, whatever things are just, whatever things are pure, whatever things are lovely, whatever things are of good report, if there is any virtue and if there is anything praiseworthy, meditate on these things. Philippians 4:8. Paul's words here aren't just beautiful poetry. They're a divine filter system for our daily lives. In a world bombarded with information, entertainment, and voices competing for our attention, this verse serves as our spiritual GPS. Notice that Paul doesn't say, occasionally think about good things, or, when you remember, focus on virtue. He uses the word meditate, which implies deep, intentional, and continuous reflection. The context surrounding this verse reveals Paul writing from prison, yet his focus remains on joy and peace rather than his circumstances. He had just instructed the Philippians to rejoice in the Lord always, and to let their gentleness be known to all. This isn't naive optimism. It's a strategic approach to spiritual warfare. Paul understood that what we allow into our minds becomes the foundation for our emotions, decisions, and ultimately, our character. Think about your typical day from the moment you wake up. What's the first thing you reach for? Your phone with its endless scroll of news, social media, and notifications. What music fills your commute? What conversations dominate your workplace? What entertainment occupies your evening hours? Each of these moments represents a choice about what influences will shape your heart and mind. Paul's list in this verse isn't restrictive. It's protective, like a loving parent guiding a child away from danger. The word true that Paul uses doesn't just mean factual accuracy. It means that which aligns with God's character and reality. In our age of fake news and distorted narratives, we're called to seek truth that comes from the source of all truth. Noble refers to that which is worthy of respect and honor, not the cheap thrills or base entertainment that our culture often celebrates. When we consistently expose ourselves to noble influences, we begin to develop noble character. Just and pure work together to cleanse our perspective. Justice isn't just about fairness, it's about righteousness and moral integrity. Purity isn't about perfection, it's about wholeness and freedom from contamination. When we meditate on these qualities, we begin to see the world through God's eyes rather than through the lens of a fallen culture. Our desires start to align with His desires. Lovely and of good report speak to beauty and reputation. God created us to appreciate beauty, but not all that glitters is gold. True loveliness reflects God's creative nature and draws us toward Him rather than away from Him. Things of good report are those that build up rather than tear down, that inspire hope rather than despair. When we consciously choose to focus on such things, we're not being naive, we're being wise. Paul concludes with virtue and praiseworthy, encompassing moral excellence and that which deserves commendation. These aren't abstract concepts, but practical standards for evaluating every influence in our lives. That podcast you listen to, that friend you spend hours with, that show you binge watch, that social media account you follow, do they promote virtue? Are they praiseworthy according to God's standards? The beautiful promise hidden in this command is transformation. When we consistently meditate on these 8 qualities, something supernatural happens. Our thoughts begin to align with God's thoughts. Our hearts start beating in rhythm with His heart. The anxiety and confusion that plague so many believers begin to fade, replaced by the peace of God, which surpasses all understanding that Paul mentions just 2 verses earlier. This isn't about becoming isolated from the world or living in a Christian bubble. It's about becoming so grounded in truth, nobility, justice, purity, loveliness, good report, virtue, and praise that we can engage with a broken world from a position of strength rather than vulnerability. When our minds are saturated with God's goodness, we become conduits of that goodness to others. Your daily influences are either moving you toward Christ or away from Him. There's no neutral territory in the spiritual realm. Every song, every conversation, every image, every thought you entertain is either building up your faith or eroding it. The question isn't whether you'll be influenced. The question is what kind of influences you'll choose. Paul's list in this verse isn't just a suggestion. It's a battle plan for spiritual victory in a world designed to distract us from God's best. Today, I challenge you to audit your influences. Look at your playlist, your social media feeds, your friend groups, your entertainment choices. Apply Paul's 8-fold test to each one. If something doesn't pass the test, have the courage to eliminate it. If something clearly aligns with these virtues, make space for more of it in your life. Your future self will thank you, and more importantly, you'll discover the joy and peace that come from a mind aligned with heaven's values. Remember, you become what you behold. Choose to behold the beauty, truth, and virtue that reflect your Heavenly Father's character. Let His influences shape your daily reality, and watch as your life becomes a living testimony to His transforming power.